Hey, it's Don, the Auction Professor. Today, again, I'm going to discuss another BOLO, and as I keep saying, the more items you know, the better off you will be. You are going to be able to score in more locations. You'll be able to score on more items. You don't have to know everything about each area that I talk about, but as long as you know the basics and to know to look for that area to begin with, you're going to do good. I can promise you that. But today, we're going to talk about calendars, vintage calendars, advertising mostly. Now, there's clock calendars and things along that line. We're not going to discuss those. We're not going to discuss the pocket watches that have calendars or any of that other items. Just basically advertising, because those are what you're going to find the most of. I find more advertising calendars than anything else. I've got dozens of them in-house right this very minute, dating back to 1880s, 1870s. We find postcards that have calendar dates on them. Just a wide range of different calendar items. There's perpetual ones. There's block calendars. There's some that would go up in a bank or in a business. But in general, calendars can sell into the thousands of dollars, depending on which one you actually find or have. So, again, we're going to talk about calendars. We're going to go over to the screen right now. Okay, so calendars. Now, I know I've probably touched on these a little bit in the past because I've had many, many calendars. There's even postcard calendars and electric calendars and clocks that have built-in calendars. We're going to look at, like, paper and advertising pieces mostly. This isn't early. This is just one page, 1 month out of this. It's a single piece from Dr. Pepper from 1905. This went for $1,292.78. Not odd. This isn't some jacked up price. A lot of these items go for a ton of money. We've had some coupons for a free bottle of Coke from like 1898 through like 1908, I think, is the era these things show up. I've had 2 or 3 of those. Those are like $600 for just a coupon that was basically removed from a magazine or some publication at the time. So there's a lot of these oddball soda shop stuff that goes for a ton of money because there's probably one of a kind. Maybe not necessarily, honestly, one of a kind, but it's so rare you probably would never see another one. And it has damage and issues to it. It still went for, almost $1,300. Here's another one. This is a Coke one. Again, the soda ones are usually very good. Any of these early soda ones, I'll buy them back to the 50s and 60s if they're cheap enough because you're still going to be able to flip them. Somebody's framed this one fairly nicely and all too, but not a bad one here either. $1,400. Let's see here. Now, this is a Wedgwood one. This is actually a tile. It would have been mounted somewhere, and I would imagine. It's a manufacturing, it's a company, so I'd say it's basically an advertisement that they would have been able to buy or give away, or maybe just even mounted in the store. Maybe they did a new one for each year when they came out. Hard to say. This could be like a one-of-a-kind even, but first one, yeah, it's probably isn't, honestly. It says first one, so it's probably literally like the first one of these that's ever shown up. $1,750. Let's move on here. Another Coke, 1922, $1,100. It's always better if all the pages are there. Someone's matted out the edges and such forth on this. I like to see the whole thing personally. I would have had to have seen this one out to trust that that's what it is. Just my personal opinion. But anyway. Here's an 1868 Grant and Colfax. So when Grant was running for president, this is a perpetual one, though. These do show up at coin collections and things like that. Sometimes people miss what that is, or it looks damaged. They don't think much of it. These are very rare. I've had one in 20-plus years, and we got some good money for it. Not quite this high, but mine wasn't nearly in this good condition. There's a little knob right there, and you would slide this back and forth to make sure that the dates, the day of the week, would match the day of the month. So the first, if it's a Friday, you'd have to make sure these were all lined up. It's a little out of whack. They need to slide it over just a hair, but anyway, it may not even slide anymore. It's hard to say, but $960. Again, these aren't just some oddball item. I'm going to show you another one here in a minute. This is a plug-in one. It's got the inner workings and the whole works shown. And it's a flip kind too. This would have been mounted like in a facility. $1,000 on this one here. Rather unique. It'd been something you'd see in a bank in like the 30s or 40s. Plus, it was an Italian company. Now, this is Maxfield Parrish. This is for Edison Mazda lamps. Now, we talked about light bulbs in some other videos here. I did one just on light bulbs. This is an advertisement for the Edison Mazda company. They I wouldn't say merged, but they had dealings together from what I understand. $810. Most of these are framed. There are some reproductions. This does not look to be a reproduction at all. You can see the damage and the issues. They didn't even repair it, which is perfect. I'd rather have them looking original with some damage on some of these. Another Pharaoh type. Ellsworth was actually, he was shot to death or, died in combat from what I remember. And this is just another one of those things. Promotional item, probably Gar at some point. You can see it's basically the same thing. They literally used the inner workings and such forth and just put different Pharaoh types in the middle, which is what that is. It's kind of like an early tin type kind of thing. 760. Now this one's pretty cool. This is like 1910, 20s, I would gather. That organized 1857. That's just when the bank was founded. It means nothing else. From the amount, over 15 million, I would say it's got to be newer. As I said, 1910-ish probably would be a good sign. 895. I'm honestly surprised it didn't go for more. These are fairly scarce, I would say. I've only seen a handful of anything like this in my life. Never had one, mind you. Here's another large one. This would have been like mounted on a wall of like the factory, probably more than likely. Back in these days, 1930s, other than the war, there was mostly all men working in the factory, so it wouldn't be odd to see this. It's actually got some nice, what looks like early 7-inch Oxford 78 RPMs from, say, circa 1910. Kind of interesting to see those. If those are full-sized 10-inch records, that's a big calendar. But anyway, $616. And he gave free shipping away. I don't do the free shipping, but here's another one, Shell gas station. This is typical. Alvin Glenn, I think, is the name of some of these artists. This is Route 66, though, in California. $577. And this is probably a little smaller than some. Some of these calendars I'm showing you are small. They're only like 10, 12 inches tall. Here's another specific one, Brewery, London Coffee House, out of Philadelphia. 1914, damaged, may not even have all the inner sides, the actual months. It's hard to say. Yeah, it doesn't look like they have any of the pages. Again, some of these still sell that way as long as this part is there. Sometimes you can even sell just the top part cut off from the rest, especially in the Victorian era. Calendar tops are a big thing. And a lot of them here, too, like this one should have had, let's see if they show it. Yeah, there's usually a brass piece right there so it doesn't pull through like this. And there could have been one. It could have just been damaged. It's hard to say on these. Calendar one, 1928. It's intact with the bottom pages. If it's a complete calendar, it goes for more. This one went for right at $500. Now the railroad one, Serving the Nation. This is a pretty decent one. Is it mounted to? Yeah, it looks like they've mounted it. It's probably one from June when... the photos were lost, but it's still sold. It's hard to tell on this one. Yeah, it's framed and mounted and all. $416. It has all months on it, all the pages. Another one here. This one's missing. It's February. It might not be more than just the February. Great Falls Selection. Fine beer. It's literally another beer calendar. $416. And it's about 32, 33 inches. Now, it's a typical one for like... a garage or mechanic shop or something back in this time frame. Round Oak now, Dawagiak, I'm sure I'm pronouncing that wrong, Michigan. There's a lot of factory items there, especially heaters and things like that. And I've had some pins and things from several of the companies, and they always sell good. All this kind of stuff sells good anyway. $416. Now, some of these signs can show up in tin, things like that, too, so just FYI. Now, this looks like it's hard to say if it's complete or not, but either way, $363. Sells all months in place, yeah, so it is complete. $363. Dr. Pepper again. Now, let's see here. Here's a Schlitz Brewing Company malt extract. Now, back in the day, a lot of these were advertised as malt extract. This would have been like a 3-foot one. That's what they were called back then, too. These do show up, usually not in this nice of condition. It's been well framed because this way you can actually see the entire thing. You can see the clip, you can see the whole thing. So My only concern would be how they mounted it in there to make sure it's not going to be damaged. It's not able to be smashed between the glass because of the brass clip up at the top. And you can see there's some space. This is thicker usually up here too. And the bottom was thicker too, because it usually had a little bit of a weight to it to hold the calendar down. But this one went for $7.50. John Deere, and it's missing all of the bottom, it looks like. Or is it? Oh, I guess not. A lot of times on these, the bottom will have been, all the pages will be gone in use, and they'll still find and show up just the top part. Some of these are collected by just the people from the city that these are made, and then obviously John Deere collectors, calendar collectors. So again, this is like a cross-category interest item in general. Most calendars are anyway. 519 Marilyn Monroe. This isn't like a super scarce one. It does show up. It was up for a while. They actually marked it down because it didn't sell. So anyway, this is, when peak time on Marilyn Monroe. Certificate of authenticity too, it says too. But it could just be something they assigned themselves. So just keep that in mind. 519, basically 520 plus 24 shipping. Here's a Hong Kong one. As I said, most anything Hong Kong. Nagasaki Joe. Now, this one I've seen stuff from that restaurant before, so I would have known instantly what it was. But Hong Kong, $600 on that one. And the next one here, I've got this one. It's a 1924 Notre Dame football calendar. Newt Rockney was there during this time frame. So, and actually, I think he's in there too. So, that's what it's going to sell for, $300 with bids too. So, anyway. Here's an interesting one. Anticomnia. Now, I'm not sure how that's pronounced or if that's correct, but I've seen that same wordage on postcards at the same time frame. And I've even seen this skeleton artwork by whoever the artist is, Russing, actually on postcards as well, too. So this is something that shows up on postcards and these kind of cards. And there are postcards with calendars from things, and I usually get $10-15 minimum for any postcard that's a calendar that advertises some form of company. And the last one here, now this one here, well, there's some specific ones. There's some dairy ones and some other ones that always show up. This is a known calendar. As I said, there's calendar collectors who just collect specific ones. And this one could actually be sold to someone who's from Portland, someone who worked there, someone who collects saddlery, someone who likes hunting. I mean, this has so much cross interest. A lot of the dairy-related ones sell well, and I've touched on dairy in the past, too. Dairy calendars go very well. There's some from Ohio area locally that I have found that go for $600-700 a pop that I've run into a few times. So, these are not all rare. Some of these had mass appeal and were big companies, even though they're from a small town, but they made a ton of merchandise that they shipped across the country. So, anyway, that's the gist on calendars. Perpetual calendars, block calendars, advent calendars, all of that stuff sells. I'm showing the high end here, but, I want to get you excited about it. I want you to know what's out there. You're going to find some calendars worth money at some time if you look for them. I can promise you that. We find calendars every month, every single month of the year since we've been doing business. I run into some calendars. I've got probably 2 or 3 dozen here right now of various types from various ages, from various picks, just from the last month or two. So that gives you an idea. But that's what I have for you today. Well, there you go. There's some more items that we always look for. And again, I've got dozens of these things now, maybe 40 or so at least, that are vintage good calendars, $15-20 minimum, all the way up into the $150 range. But again, we do find them all the time. You're not going to find dozens of them, but you will find several here and there, as long as you're looking and going to the proper places. But that's what I have for you today. Hopefully that gave you some ideas and some thoughts. If you enjoyed the video, please hit the like button down below. You can also hit the bell icon to be notified when we post new content or go live. Subscribe and tell a friend.